All right, finishing up, man. There was a glitch on the other part as an adjustment. So if you cut it off, I understand. This is the portion where I tell you my story. I'm going to preface my story by saying that all women aren't a monolith. 40% of our women suffer from mental disease. And 80% of us children are being raised by these women. So roughly about 35% of all children are being raised by women with mental disease. It's been documented. You can check it out for yourself. And I was raised by one of those women. I didn't know I was going through trauma at the time. What does a child know? But I was a latchkey kid in New York City. I was given a key, and by the age of first grade or so, I was coming home by myself. Now, there was someone in the building that was supposed to check in with me, a girl upstairs, but she was babysitting, a little bit older than me, junior high school, and she didn't do her job. So oftentimes I was completely alone. I would get a call from my mom. I would talk to her for a minute. And I'd be alone. I'd be by myself, and I'd do my homework and figure out how to get something to eat from there, maybe some cereal. And that was it. Years after, I realized that that was neglect. And I know for a fact if it were a girl, she wouldn't have given her a key to come home by herself. So this is what women do to boys, especially when they don't have much love for them. And so she used the word all throughout my life. Her actions never said that she loved me. So I'm home one day after coming home from school, and I had spent the weekend with my grandma, who kicked me out, by the way. So this abuse was coming from the women in my family, from my grandmother. It was generational abuse. So my mom came to pick me up, and she told my mom, basically, if you don't give me more money, he has to go. I heard the conversation, packed my bag, and I left. My grandma kicked me out. Thereafter, I was a latchkey kid coming home by myself in my mom's apartment. So I came home one day after school, and my uncle was waiting for me. And I didn't know what was going on. He had a key. He began to ask me questions about a visit that I had with a friend at my grandma's, a kid that we've known for a long time, growing up in the same building. We were friends, childhood friends, kids, like adolescents. And my uncle, which was a little bit younger than me, my mom was one of the oldest children, and he came as the last child of my grandmother. So I was about 3 months older than him. But anyway, we would play together with a few kids in the building, and we all knew each other. And one of the kids came over one afternoon, and we were looking at this movie maker thing under the covers, having fun. Now, my uncle, which was like my brother, and I'll call him that from now on, my younger brother, funny to say, he wasn't there for some reason. So me and this other kid were playing. He was deaf, so we were under some sheets in the living room, and the light was coming through the window. And the thing was over. He went home. I went home. My mom came and got me. So my uncle was asking me about that occurrence. And apparently my grandmother had told him that I was, doing some gay behavior. And he commenced to beat the truth out of me. And I didn't know what was going on as a kid, maybe 7 years old. I didn't understand what the hell was happening. However, I was extremely smart and intuitive, and it's the thing they say about torture is true. The person being tortured will eventually tell you whatever you want to hear so the pain would stop. And I did that. I told him some gay stuff had happened, and so he was content with that for some reason. He stopped. When my mom came home, he related the story, and then she stripped me completely naked and beat me with a belt. That has stuck with me, and it did stick with me all the way through my teenage years and somewhere into my adult, 20s, early 20s, for me to actually get rid of this trauma that was inflicted upon me that day by not one, by two, but three. My grandmother started it. He came over and tortured me, and then my mom finished the job. That day I knew I was on my own and I would never have anyone to protect me. That day I knew for a fact she didn't love me, and I never loved her since. When I told her years later what had happened, she told me, "You need to get over it." And even though I didn't love her for some odd years, at that point, I started to resent her even more, and it never stopped. And all throughout my adult life, childhood, she had demonized me with people and based on my behavior and telling them I was a deviant in some way. However, I never was. I never committed any crimes. I never went to jail. I never did anything to anyone. I was a good kid, but for some reason she resented me, whether she knew it or not. And it was expressed in how she related incidents with her to other people. It alienated my entire family from me, outside for maybe an uncle or two. And upon her death, I was given ashes, and I threw her ashes in the trash. Outside in a garbage, I threw them out because still to this day, not only do I not love that woman, I resent ever being her child. And this is the type of thing that boys go through when they're raised by women who are unchecked by another half, which is a man, and two, have a general distaste and disrespect and very misandrous, which is the hate of men towards men. It shows up in how they treat their children. And I wanted to share this with you so that people like me would have the opportunity to feel free to open up to someone to help them. I was able to get through it, but I'm telling you, there was such dark times in my life that I didn't know how I would. But I'm not the type, as I told you before, never in my wildest imaginations did I think about ending my life, but the trauma was so strong, and you don't know how debilitating trauma could be once you're in it. Once you're out of it, it may seem like, oh, but once you're in it, it could really be the world, no matter what it is to someone. And this was a very, very big deal. Now, this treatment went on throughout my entire life with her. I remember her leaving me on Imperial and Prairie when I got out of the car because she was heckling me while I was learning how to drive. So I said, here, you drive. So I pulled the car over and I got out. When I got out, she got in the driver's seat and left me. So this is someone that you would call a mother. And I'm telling you, if I were a girl, she would not have treated me this way throughout my life. She was trying to figure out, because she was a bully and a bitch, how to control me, because she knew someday I would be a man, and she had trouble with men. And that's a whole nother story. Every man she interacted with, she completely gaslit and abused. And when they put their hands on her, she became the victim. So I sum up my relationship with my mother as this: never wrong, never sorry. And when all else failed, she was the victim. Guys, there's help. There's light at the end of this tunnel. Do not become a victim or a statistic and end up like the thumbnail. Your life is important. We all need each other, and we're going to need you. And if we can help you through this process, reach out to someone, as I said before. If not me, someone else. And we know there are therapists there that for us. And the ones that are there are far and few between if they look like us and they have the same gender. And even when they're the same gender, I ran into a gay guy one time who told me, this is not going to work. He's supposed to be helping someone. I didn't know he was gay, but after talking to him for a second, I said, this guy's gay. I'm talking to a gay therapist. As if I need that. They hate us more than the women do. So men, we are literally on our own, and we have to figure this out on our own. So let's take care of each other. All right, fellas? Man. In and of itself, this is somewhat of therapy too, you know what I mean? Just being able to talk to this camera, and maybe someday we'll listen. And someday someone will listen, and maybe someday I will be able to help someone with my story. All right, you guys. As I said before, let learning be your legacy. Reach down into the thumbnail. My book is to help you develop yourself intellectually, whether it be yourself as a student or a general roadmap for life. But it is designed for students, so hand it out to a student to help them get to their intellectual capacity and then eventually help them reach their purpose and find their favorite place. You too. And when you do, reach back and figure out how to help someone get there too. And I always tell you, music is life. It has gotten me through some of the roughest times. Outside of sports, playing basketball, music has to be a universal, spiritual, divine creation of frequencies that help people. I really do think so, and it always helps me. So let's go out on a song that I've fallen in love with recently. Let's see if I can find it. The name of this song is by an artist. The artist is named...
And to preface my song...
Oh, that's me talking
I was
on my...
talking about...
I'm going to go out with my man. He is called the Thunderstorm Artiste. He is from Hawaii. He got discovered on The Voice, and he has turned his past several years, 10 years, I don't know when he was on last, into a career, a professional recording career. And he's really good at what he does. And this song here is called Angel. Let's check it out. His name is Thunderstorm Artiste. The song is called Angel. Let's go home with him.
Looking out, living life for all the fame. Scared to find reason deep inside that I can
On my own.
And people say the
grass is greener on the other side. That's why this song makes sense. You rise. It's a song of hope. I am mine. Lullaby. Alright, y'all. Peace and love is always coming from here. Ron Raphael. Let learning be your legacy. So much so that you add something new to your bag every day, every week, until it becomes something that you are known for, that enriches the world and your life as well. Take care, y'all. I'm out. Peace.
Oh, and mama says, son, won't you stop and take it slow? She said, there's some months in life that you really get to know. And you don't have to go chasing at the stars, leaving your heart in scars. She said, life is not a game that you play alone. But she's like